A quorum being present, the annual town meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, has the warrant been properly posted as required by the general laws of the town of Granby?
Yes, it has.
Select Board Chairman Mr. Sexton will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sitting today in front of town meeting are, at my far left, the Finance Board, our Town Clerk behind me, our Town Attorney, our Town Administrator, and our Select Board. Please raise your hand if you'd like to discuss a motion. When I recognize you, please come to the front of the auditorium where the microphone is, and you have to state your name and address before commenting. You're allowed one question at a time at the mic. If you aren't able to go to the mic for some reason and you need a mic brought to you, we can have a runner come to you.
Oh, we can use the one. Yeah.
Please do not direct any questions or comments to a particular person at town meeting. Direct all your comments to me, and if need be, I will then direct them to the appropriate party. If you are a non-resident and a non-voter, please sit in the non-voter section in the side of the auditorium. And I will now recognize our town clerk for an announcement.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming out. We appreciate that. I just want to mention that next Monday, the 15th, is our annual town election. That is at the high school in the gymnasium. The polls will be open from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Now, today was the last day to apply for a mail-in ballot. However, if you're not going to be able to make the polls, you can still come to my office and do an absentee ballot, and you can do that up until 5 p.m. on Friday, May 12th. Also, the ballot this year does have 4 slots with no candidates. If you have no intention of doing a write-in, we ask that you just skip over it. Don't fill in the circles, just skip over it. That way the machine will read it, but it won't cause a lot of problems at the end of the night. Thank you very much, and I hope everybody goes out on Monday to vote.
The moderator will now recognize the Finance Committee Chairman, Mr. Libera.
Good evening. I'm John Libera from the Finance Committee. I'm going to defer our regular report to the town until we have the next town meeting where we do the budget. But I just want to say for this meeting that Finance Committee is in favor of all the warrant articles as they are written. Thank you very much.
The moderator will now call on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 1.
Move the town vote to conduct the business of the meeting as follows on May 8th, 2023. Consider Articles 2 through 19, and on June 5th, 2023, consider Articles 20 through 27. This article addresses when the articles for the town meeting will be addressed by town meeting.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? So this motion needs to pass by a majority. So all those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those not in favor? The motion passes by a unanimously. For Article 2, as in other meetings, we are using a consent agenda. I'm going to call on a motion on the consent agenda, and you will hear a short explanation of all the articles in the agenda. If you have a question or you want one of the articles in the agenda to be talked about separately, please raise your card and yell out "hold," and I will take that article out of the consent agenda. When all the articles in the consent agenda have been read, I will call for a second, and we will then vote in a single vote on all the remaining articles in the consent agenda. The moderator will now call on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 2.
Move the town vote to approve the consent agenda as follows. Article 2A, the town vote to authorize the Select Board to conduct the following activities for fiscal year 2024. A, to sell after first giving notice of time and place of sale by posting such notices of sale in some convenient and public place in the town 14 days at least before the sale, property taken by the town under tax title land of low value procedure, provided the Select Board or whomever they authorize to hold such public auction may reject any bid they deem inadequate. B, to apply for and accept federal or state grants or monies as may be made available and to allow the Select Board to expend any funds received as set forth in the appropriate application. C, to enter into a contract with the Massachusetts Highway Department for the construction and maintenance of public highways for the ensuing year. This article allows the Select Board to sell property taken under tax foreclosure, to apply for grants, accept them, and send them, and to sign Chapter 90, and spend them, and to sign Chapter 90 contracts with the state for fiscal year 2024.
Article 2B.
The town authorized the various departments to receive compensation for services rendered for fiscal year 2024 as follows. The cemetery commissioners to dig graves and maintain the equipment and grounds in the cemeteries at a wage rate that is no less than the minimum wage.
All right, we're going to pull out Article 2B from the consent agenda.
Would you like me to continue reading the rest of the letters for
No,
two?
we'll read it
Okay.
back in the warrant.
Okay.
Article 2C.
The town vote to authorize the Conservation Commission to charge a fee of $75 for each site inspection deemed necessary by a quorum of the commission. Fee shall be payable to the Town of Granby Conservation Commission and deposited in the Conservation Hatch Fund. This article sets the fee the Conservation Commission can charge for site inspections when necessary.
Article 2D.
The town will vote to accept the following gifts in calendar year 2022 for perpetual care of cemetery lots. Mary Ann Chevalier, $1,565. John and Darlene Sullivan, $1,565. Ann Polchapek Sullivan, $765. Deborah J. and Peter Warinsky, $3,165. Albert E. and Joanne M. Bassett, $1,565. Echo L. Cook Yanoski, $765. Andreas K. and Karen M. Karash, $765. Catherine A. McKay and Stephen R. Pelletier, $1,530. Mildred Tracy, $775. Michael J. and Karen J. LaJoy, $3,155. James and Margaret A. Sowell, $1,565. Henry E. and Sylvia T. Forget, $2,265. Carl F. and Christine M. Ferguson, $1,565. Lois L. Burns, $2,355. Trudy E. Turcott, $775. Patricia L. and Heather L. LeClaire, $1,565. This article accepts the perpetual care fees collected by the cemetery commissioners.
Article 2E.
The town vote to authorize expenditures from these revolving funds for fiscal year 2024 without further appropriation. A Parks Oversight Revolving Fund from which the Parks Oversight Ad Hoc Committee may spend $40,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024.
Okay, we're pulling Article 2E out of the consent agenda. Article 2F.
The town vote to authorize town departments to enter into agreements in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 4A for the fiscal year 2024. This allows the various departments to enter into contracts and agreements with another governmental agency to provide a service the department is unable to.
Article 2G.
The town vote to allow the select board to appoint a member of the select board to a position that is under the supervision of the select board as allowed under Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 21A. This article is to have the town be in compliance with the ethics law. As select board members are appointed to committees that report to them, we need town meeting approval to allow this.
Article 2H.
The town vote to amend the bylaws of the town of Granby, Volume 2, Chapter 19, Personnel Bylaw, Appendix D, Compensation Plan Pay Schedules, and substituting a new Appendix D showing the 9 pay grades and 10 steps to be effective July 1st, 2023. Copies of Chapter 19, Appendix D are available at the Select Board's office. This article set the pay rates for non-union employees for the period July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. The cost of a living adjustment for FY 2023 is 3%.
Article 2I.
The town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $271,968 as its apportioned share of the fiscal year 2024 budget for the Pathfinder Regional Vocational Technical High School District. This article is to pay the assessment to Pathfinder Vocational School, of which the town is a member community and sends students to.
Article 2J.
The town vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $273,605.51, authorized under Chapter 291 of the Acts of 2004 for highway construction improvements, defined under Chapter 90 of the general laws. This article accepts the Chapter 90 allocation for fiscal year 2023 as determined by the state.
Article 2K.
The town vote to transfer from free cash $175,000 for the purpose of funding the town's other post-employment benefits, OPEB, liability. This article is an attempt to fund the town's post-employment benefits liability. As of June 30th, 2023, this liability is $37,134,233.
Second.
Second.
So we are now going to vote on the articles in the consent agenda. Articles 2A, 2C, 2D, 2F, G, H, I, J, and K. In order for the consent agenda to pass, it must pass by a majority. So-
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
I just have a suggestion. There's 2 typos in this. Article 2H, it should be July 1st, 2024, not 2023. 2023. Yeah.
FY '24 is 3%.
Yeah, at the bottom, it says living adjustments for FY 2024. There's 3%, not 2023.
So we need to amend the consent?
No, it's just the explanation.
In the explanation, so
Oh,
people
okay.
understand that it's not for 2023, it's for 2024.
Can you hear Mr. Sexton? So under Article 2H, the explanation, go ahead.
So the explanation on Article 2H, at the bottom, it says cost of living adjustment for fiscal year 2023 is actually for fiscal year 2024. And Article 2J, the explanation also refers to fiscal year 2023, that is actually fiscal year 2024.
So because that's the explanation, we don't need to amend the article. The motion itself is written correctly.
I have a question. It's on Article 2K. June, in the explanation, I heard June 30th, 2023, and it says 22.
22 is the correct amount, the
It
correct
is.
date.
Okay,
2022 is the correct date.
okay.
Did you say to change it to 23?
In order for the consent agenda to pass without Article 2B and 2E in it, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The consent agenda passes by a majority. So now the moderator will call on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 2B that was pulled out of the consent agenda.
So the town authorized the various departments to receive compensation for services rendered for fiscal year 2024 as follows. A, the cemetery commissioners to dig graves and maintain the equipment and grounds in the cemeteries at a wage rate that is no less than the minimum wage.
Read the rest of it.
B, the members of the Board of Assessors to be compensated $15 per parcel for necessary field work and data collection for services rendered in connection with the reevaluation and recertification process involving 1/6 of the improved parcels in town. C, the members of the Board of Health or their consultants to receive compensation at a wage rate of $35 per inspection or specific required activity. D, the members of the Planning Board or their appointees to receive compensation at a wage rate of $65 per inspection. This article sets the rate of compensation for the various elected boards for fiscal year 2024.
Can I have a second?
Second.
So now we can have discussion. Would you like to come up? Yep, come on up to the microphone.
Rich Domaraki, Bachelor Street, on Article 2BA. This is more a pet peeve than anything else. Every year, I bring up the point that this article should be rewritten. It says the cemetery commissioners shall get no less than the minimum wage, which means what? What are they getting? Why isn't there a dollar amount in here? How much does a cemetery commissioner get to dig a grave?
Cemetery commissioners, if you look at Appendix D compensation plan, the cemetery commissioners get grade 1, step 1, or $15.58 effective July 1, 2023.
Why isn't that in the article? I don't understand that.
Because they get two rates. One is to dig graves, which is $15.58, and to maintain the grounds, put in headstone bases and things of that, they get paid, that's grade 3, step 1, which is $18.18.
It should be spelled out that way. And could I mention about the other?
Go ahead.
The only question I have, and I mentioned this before, can someone please tell us, let's say the Board of Assessors get $15 per parcel. What are they getting now? How much did it go up? The Board of Health is getting wants $35 per inspection. What are they getting now? How much did it go up? How can we vote to approve something if we don't know how much it increased? Could someone please tell us what the respective boards are getting now?
The same amount that's listed for FY24.
What was that?
The same amount that is listed for FY24. The assessors are currently getting 15. The Board of Health is currently getting 35, and the Planning Board is currently getting $65.
So they're not asking for any increase?
No.
All right, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? In order for the motion under Article 2B to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 2E.
The town vote to authorize expenditures from these revolving funds for fiscal year 2024 without further appropriation. A Parks Oversight Revolving Fund from which the Parks Oversight Ad Hoc Committee may spend $40,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. B, a Charter Day Revolving Fund from which the Charter Day Ad Hoc Committee may spend $50,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. C, a planning board fees revolving fund from which the planning board may spend $50,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. D, an after-school activities program revolving fund from which the superintendent of schools may spend $20,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. E, a dog revolving fund from which the police chief may spend $14,174 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. F, a library revolving fund from which the library commissioners may spend $2,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
This article is the annual authorization of the town revolving funds as listed in the town bylaws.
Are there any questions or comments? Come on up.
Stand on the gold circle. Rich Demaraki, Bachelor Street. I just had a clarification needed. On the Parks Oversight Revolving Fund, it says they will spend $40,000. Does that mean the $40,000 has already been collected in the prior year, or they expect to collect it during the current year and spend it?
In the bylaws. You okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to make?
In the bylaws, it states that under each one of these revolving funds, they can spend the amount that is brought forward from the prior fiscal year plus any receipts collected in the current fiscal year.
So it's all money they've actually received?
No, because they have some that's already sitting in their fund, okay?
Right.
Or say Parks Oversight. They have 25,000. Those aren't exact figures, I'm just giving you an example. They have $25,000 sitting there as of the end of June 30th, 2023.
Right.
But they are expected to collect another 15,000 from rentals and other type of functions that are held there. So that gives them $40,000 that they can spend in FY24.
Let's say they're short 5,000, they just don't spend it, correct?
Yes. It says may spend, not will, may spend. Okay, so if the money isn't there, they can't spend it.
Right, thank you.
Adam, there's one more point about that. If, using Chris's example, if there's $25,000 in the fund now, and they collect $25,000 next year, this article still restricts them to $40,000. So it's $40,000 if the money is there from last year and collected this year, and if it's not there, then they can't spend any more than what's in the fund. Thank you.
Any other questions? In order for the motion to pass under Article 2E, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 3.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $50,000 for the purpose of funding the repair of the play structure located at Dufresne Park.
Second?
Second.
And discussion?
In July of 2022, the town had an inspection done on the play structure at Dufresne Park. The inspection discovered that some items need to be corrected. Due to the nature of this issue, the town needed to close the structure due to safety and liability issues. The article is seeking the funds to correct the deficiencies and allow for the town to reopen the structure.
Any questions? Come on down.
Seamus Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby. I have this to say. Vote yes on Article 3. Our kids are the most important thing we have in this community. They are going to be here another 80, 90 years. They will see the next century. I would ask everyone to vote yes on Article 3 because these kids will be the future Granby historians and they will outlive me, let alone the rest of you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Elaine LaFleur, 235 Chicopee Street. Do we know what needs to be done? Have we had the plan in place? Do we know that 50,000 is going to cover it? This is a real sore subject with me. Our kids need a place to play. I brought my children there. They're now 30. I'm bringing their children there. I go to a neighboring town to play with my grandchildren. We need to have a safe, low-maintenance playground. We need to spend the money. And what if we don't have enough to do what y'all planning to do? What do we do next? Wait for another town meeting because you have to put the orange fence around it again? This is a sore subject with me.
So the study that we had done and the cost of repair, the $50,000 should cover that amount.
Should.
The repairs that are under that amount of money, what was accorded to us.
Okay. Do we have a plan that we can share with the community? Are we going to have more mulch that's going to contract bugs and then need to remulch in 5 years?
So when it comes to playgrounds, there's certain standards that they have to meet, especially for the public, and whether it's the public or at the schools or something like that. So when they come in, they're going to do what brings it up to those current standards. Certain things are like a certain amount of mulch, with a requirement how much amount of mulch is supposed to be across the playground.
Do we have options of what we put on the playground?
I would say it depends on what's available for us to look at.
Right, and if there's wiggle room, we're going to do what's best and safest for the kids in this town?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at what needs to be done, that's the goal, is to make sure that it's safe, so when people can use it and will use it, that they're safe, and that's our main concern.
But for a whole year to look at that orange, whatever it is that's around there, you know, it's just to me, another message. I've been in town for 35 years. Another building is falling apart. So what do? You know, we don't appropriate money to keep things going. And I think we need a team of people to make sure that things keep going.
So keep your comments to the article, please.
Okay. So I'm just, I don't want to see this playground in 5 years, here we go again, because I probably will not stay in this town because of that. And, it's just a real sore subject with me. It disgusts me to drive by there. I usually don't go that way when I have to go to Granby Grain.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Come on up.
Hi, good evening. Dorota Sadalski, 58 Cold Hill Road. My question is, does the town have a grant writer? And if so, have they considered applying for grants to support the playgrounds? That's it.
We currently don't have a grant writer this time. We have advertised for it. We were hoping to have one, but unfortunately this time we did not.
Okay. Just, to keep in mind, there are a lot of grants that they are funded by the state, so that's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Yeah. So seeing no one's hands up, we'll now, do you have a comment? Come on down.
Hello, James Guzman, 16 Griswold Circle. So this 50 grand, what are we giving the kids? Is it gonna be better than what they have, under par of what we've got? How are we spending this money? Why has there been nothing talked about until tonight, other than we need to spend money? We don't know what we're getting. I personally would love to approve something, but I want to make sure the kids get more than what they have, or at least what they've got. So if somebody can answer that, that'd be great.
All right, so this has been brought up at several of the select board meetings in the past, as well as the information and the study that came through is what needs to be done for the repairs. And again,
Okay.
it's making the repairs on, I know one thing is about the mulch, replacing some of the structures to make them safe, and some other upkeep around the playground itself. So that's the goal. What we want to do is bring it up to where the standards meet,
Yep.
so that when the kids are on it, it's safe for them to be on it. And I gave that example as far as like mulch. There's a certain requirement of mulch that's supposed to be on the playground for safety reasons.
Right. I get that. But I was under the impression all of the structures had to be changed out, things that, like it had to be a whole new park, was what I was told by somebody else.
No, that's not accurate.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Come on up.
Jennifer Bartos, 97 Porter Street. I'm wondering if we don't spend the full 50,000, will the remainder be put aside and included for additional upkeep going forward?
I mean, that's really up to the town. I mean, it's spending up to that amount of money, so there's $50,000 to spend. If it's not all spent, then it would go back to the town, and the town would have to reallocate the money.
All right, and, come on up. You guys need to hold your hands up a little higher for me.
Janice Kovich, 99 Kendall Street. What is the plan to maintain the playground? Is there a plan? Because I know over the years I've seen a lot of discussion in regards to it not being maintained. So what is the plan going forward? Is there one?
There's a plan going forward. The first step this is probably the second step for us, is to have the money appropriated. So now we can, after the money is appropriated, we can contact the company and start moving forward with what needs to be done.
Okay. Yeah, because just to
Off the
fix
study.
what's there and not be able to maintain it isn't going to help at the end of the day. So, thank you.
Come on up.
Mike Slater, 191 School Street. Just a question in regards to this article starting it, but free cash. Like, how much are we have as free cash as a community right now that's certified as we go through voting to allocate free cash to all of these different articles?
We have $1,797,000.
Okay, I'm going to ask for the vote for this question unless somebody has something to say that we haven't heard. In order for the motion under Article 3 to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now ask Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 4.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $35,735 for the purpose of funding the upgrading of security camera server and DVR, installation of a job reader and handicap button at the main entrance door at the junior-senior high school.
Second? Second. And discussion.
The current security camera server and DVR device needs to be replaced. The current setup will not support new cameras. The upgrade will make it easier and more efficient for the police department to monitor both schools. The fob reader will allow for the faculty and staff to use either fob for entry, and the handicap button will automatically open the doors.
Are there any questions or comments? In order for the motion to pass under Article 4, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 5.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $38,230 for the purpose of funding the replacement of the classroom projectors at the junior-senior high school.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
This article will fund the installation of projectors in every instrumental place. The projectors will provide staff and technology needed to support the student educational learning needs.
Are there any questions? In order for the motion under Article 5 to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? That motion passed unanimously. The moderator will call on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 6.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $65,000 for the purpose of funding of brush truck equipment upgrades for the fire department.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
The current brush truck is a 2004 Chevy 3500. After evaluation of the vehicle's condition, it was determined that this truck didn't need replacing, but the following should be upgraded: the aluminum flatbed, a new suspension and tires, new skid unit to include water tank, pump, and hose reel, new mobile radios, new warning lights, scene lights, and labor installed. A truck would cost $240,000.
Are there any questions or discussions? Come on up.
Rich Domaraki, Bachelor Street. Could someone explain exactly what that truck, brush truck equipment upgrades does? I mean, does it, assuming it fights brush fires? I mean, what does it do?
Madam Moderator, if you could call him first.
Chief O'Neill I would like Chief O'Neill to answer that question, but he is a non-voter. So I need a motion to allow him to speak. And a second?
Second.
Come on up, Chief O'Neill. Oh, let me, all those in favor of having him speak? Thank you. Come on up.
Mike O'Neill, Granby Fire Chief. The brush truck's a smaller vehicle that allows us to get into the woods to suppress wildfires. It's a smaller version of our fire engines that we use for structure fires. So it's a huge part of our response to the large areas that we have here in town.
Thank you. Any other questions? Come on down, Seamus.
Seamus Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby. I'd like to ask, I'm well aware that there are fires, but when has there ever been a forest fire here in New England? Like, I've lived here in Granby for like my whole life practically, and I've never remembered there ever being a forest fire. So I think with all due respect to the fire department, you guys have done a phenomenal job with our community. But I think we need, in all due respect, to vote no on this, because this is just too much money. Why can't we just spend that on the school? We have other concerns, and I think with what's going on in Washington with the deficit, I think we should vote no on this and save some money, because we don't even know what's going to happen next month. We could be in a default for the first time in U.S. history. So I ask everyone to vote no.
Any other comments or discussion? Come on up.
Janice Kovich, 99 Kendall Street. So has there been brush fires? Have we had any? I know there was one.
Well, can you come up to the microphone, because
Yeah.
it needs to be taped.
Yes, there has been. been. We had an 11-acre brush fire on top of the dump, and we've had multiple 2+ acre brush fires over the last 6 months.
Just one other question. Is the vehicle functionable right now, or no? Is it kaput?
Yes, the vehicle is functional. It's a safety concern for all the weight that it has on the back, and our water tank's actually split on the side. So this will actually help prolong the life of the truck.
In order for the motion to pass under Article 6, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 7.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash $236,500 for the purpose of funding the purchase the self-contained breathing apparatus, CSBA, for the fire department.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
This article will replace 20 air packs for the department. The current packs are 12 years old and needs to be replaced according to current standards.
Are there questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 8.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $67,262 for the purpose of funding the purchase of a marked cruiser for the police department.
Second?
Second.
And discussion?
The article is to fund a new police cruiser for the police department. This is an annual purchase for the town. The vehicle being replaced will either be auctioned off or traded.
Are there any questions? Come on up.
Janice Kovich, 99 Kendall Street. When the vehicle is auctioned off, is it auctioned off, does the town get the first choice, or they're notified so that someone can be a part of purchasing that vehicle?
Does the town, people in town, are you
Yes.
asking?
Yes.
State auction.
When we auction a vehicle, we advertise it on a place called municipal bids. And what they do is that is a site where anybody who's interested in bidding on the vehicle has the right to put a bid in, and we accept the highest bid.
Can any?
Yes, anybody can go out and
Thank
bid.
you.
It's not just limited to other communities. No, if you go out to the site, you will see lists listed there all the time of municipal vehicles out for bid.
They're good cars for your kids' first cars.
Now everybody knows. Come on up, Rich.
Rich Domaraki, Bachelor Street. Is the police department buying an EV vehicle? Is it an electric vehicle?
Police chief.
Kevin O'Grady, Amherst Street. Yes, this bid is for an electric vehicle, well, a hybrid. But there are some problems getting some of them, so we may not be able to get a hybrid this year, but that is the bid right now.
Are all the vehicles you're getting, are they hybrids?
We're starting to phase into them, yes.
Are you trading in a specific vehicle?
Yes, it is a...
Could you tell us how many miles
Yeah,
and what year?
it's a 2018 Explorer with 108,550 miles on it, and it has 18,955 engine hours, which is about 5 times your average. A normal vehicle is with 108,000 miles, probably is about 4,000 engine hours.
Can one of those vehicles catch me?
I'm sure they can.
Any other discussion? Come on up.
Sorry. Hi. Hi, Stephanie Parent, Bachelor Street. Just a quick question. When you mentioned it being a hybrid, hopefully, and moving to that method going forward, are there electric vehicle chargers currently, or will that also be an additional request at some point?
The department does have 4 electric chargers at the station behind the building. These particular vehicles right now self-charge, the engine charges the car, but in the future, if it is just a plug-in car, we do have chargers.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? In order for the motion to pass under Article 8, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 9.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $60,152 for the purpose of funding the purchase of an unmarked cruiser for the police department.
Second?
Second.
And discussion?
The article is to fund the purchase of a new unmarked police vehicle. The department has a need for additional unmarked units in their fleet.
Are there any questions or discussion? Come on up, Rich.
Rich Tamaraki, Bachelor Street. This is the first time in a long time that I could recall the police department asking for 2 vehicles. Now, this is for the detective. How many detectives does the police department have? How many detective cars does the department have? Is it a hybrid?
You didn't ask that on the mic. Yes, that's a hybrid quote. We currently have 2 detectives and we have 2 unmarked cars.
And then the one you're trading in is how old?
This is not a trade-in, this is to procure a new car to add to the fleet.
So you have 3 vehicles with 2 detectives?
And I take a car home.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? I'm gonna need the counters, unless, let me try it again. Okay, put your hands down. Raise your cards high, okay? All those in favor, please raise your cards. All right? All those opposed? I think it's gonna be a majority, but let me get the counters just in case.
They're supposed to, they have instructions. Yeah, they're over there. They're supposed to get up there. They have their books. They know where they're supposed to count.
How surprised are kids?
All right, are the counters ready? So we have
Yeah, so, no, we've got, one's counting the middle, Rich is counting at that end, and you're counting the floor. Well, I thought, yeah, there's 3.
All right. All right. Keep your card raised until I tell you to put it down. All those in favor, please raise your cards.
Who's counting up here?
You have one. So she counted up here on.
I counted up here. Are the counters done? All right, you can put your cards down. All those opposed, please raise your cards. Keep them up. All set, thank you.
You can bring them up here. Tell them to bring them to you. So Susie, so what's that? So Susie was some the instructions were where they were sitting. You would do that. You would do that. You would do that. And you would do the
What happened to you at the same time?
So, I don't know, Susie was counting over there on the left. And Virginia was supposed to be counting in the middle, Rich was supposed to be counting on the right, and Emily was supposed to be counting.
Flickers.
That's right. All right, what's the date?
Didn't pass. 27, 20, 27, 28, 29, 30, so 53. No's, 25, 35, 36, and 8 is 43.
You said 27, 28, 29, 30?
No, I counted in my head. Here's 1 no, 27, 2, and 23.
Okay.
Equals 53.
Yeah.
You asked for a recount?
The yes is 25, 11, 8, 0. She had 0. She said 3 yeses. That's 43 to 53.
Can I ask for a recount?
That doesn't raise that.
Valkyrie.
Could we do it over?
Get the times up here.
Yeah, all right.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, I ask for a recount.
So, we're going to do a recount. Currently, the numbers aren't coming out correctly, so we're going to do a recount. So can I have the counters come up to the stage, please?
Okay. Okay, thank you guys.
No,
We should have 2 counters. Yeah, thanks.
Do we have another?
Elaine.
How many people are checking at this point?
It's there.
Because
If the interest on themselves without the town. Is there confusion in the council? So the issue is not that there be no, Mr. Council.
112, 112, thank you.
It's been there forever.
No, it's in our bylaws.
Minimum wage. That's restricted. But if you have any clearance,
Yes.
it goes by the book, whatever the book says.
So I can recount.
That's what we're going to do.
So 4.
All right. All those in favor of Article 8, please, I'm sorry, of Article 9, please raise your cards and keep them up. All set, counters? Hands down? Thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hands. All set, counters? Thank you. Hands down.
So, including my members. Oh, okay. Then 1, no.
1 for here.
We have it already, 6 and 1.
Right.
Then for 28 yeses
28
to 1 no.
to another no.
And then 35
Yes.
no's.
35 no's?
Yeah, to 31 yeses.
All right, so we have
37.
37. Well, it's by majority, so
Yeah,
yeah.
so
that's,
they're going to ask the count.
yeah. 60.
And
So
look at that.
65 to 37.
Yeah. That's something I want to cash out.
That's 102, so 112 checked in, people left, so
Yeah.
that's right.
The motion under Article 9 passes by a majority.
What was the count? 65 to 1.
The count, you want the
What was
count?
the count? Yeah.
The count is 65 yes, 37 no.
Thank you.
The moderator calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 10.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $105,000 for the purpose of funding the purchase of a vacuum truck for the Highway Department.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
This article is to fund a newer vacuum truck for the Highway Department. The current vacuum truck is a 1992 Ford Vac. The current vehicle is showing signs of extreme wear from use. This would allow the department to search for a new vehicle, or newer vehicle. The cost for a new vacuum would be $650,000.
Any questions or discussion? Come on up, Janice.
So, what is a
State your name and address.
Oh, sorry, Janice Kovich, 99 Kendall Street. What is a vacuum truck? What is it used for?
I'm going to ask Dave as well.
Does anybody know?
Dave DeRozier, 32 Bags Hill Road. I'm the highway superintendent. It's a multi-purpose truck. We use it to clean catch basins. We use it in addition to the clam bucket that we use on the mini excavator. You've probably seen it around town. Is about 3 times as fast as the vac truck to clean. That's why we bought the mini. But there are some basins that are offset, and we cannot get in with the clam. It's not big enough. And we have to clean those basins every year per EPA requirements. In addition, on the front of the vac truck, there's a jet rotter. We use it to open blocked culverts, blocked pipes. Yeah, we used it on Karen Drive just recently. It was out working today cleaning catch basins.
My other question, I don't know if it's Like, what would be the consequence of not doing this year?
I don't know how much the EPA would fine us. We're mandated to keep the basins less than 50% full per our wastewater or stormwater discharge permit with the EPA. And
we currently can't.
we have to clean the basins every year. Some of our basins are very small sumps, and they are over 50% full already. So we have to clean them every year.
Okay. Thank you for explaining. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Come on down.
I'll get you next.
Michelle Carmody, 501 East State Street. So my question is, what is the frequency that we have to clean them out during the year? And is it able to be subcontracted out? Like Baltazar, Ludlow Construction, who has it? I come from a company that does vac trucks, a 92, 102,000. You're gonna spend way more money on upkeeping
Can you
that.
speak into the mic?
You're gonna have to spend way more money to upkeep that than the 102 it would take to buy it at a 92.
That's totally incorrect. We purchased the last one for $10,000. We've been maintaining, it's a Ford Vector. And
So wait, excuse me. Can you let him answer, and then you can have the mic back, because people can't hear your question when you chatter back and forth.
I totally disagree with you. We've been maintaining vac trucks for a long time. What we're trying to do is minimize, and in fact, I've got prices from CN Wood on used numbers. That's one of the reasons we put 105 in, because we've been dealing with CN Wood. Obviously not you, but we don't pull these numbers out of the air. I mean,
Right, but is it worth actually having a contractor come in, because you guys are trying to get highway department, instead of buying new machines?
So, excuse me, can you speak to me and not to him, and speak into the microphone, because I don't think the people in the back can hear your question. And you obviously have a question, so go ahead and make your comment again, so we can answer it.
Why would we not be able to outsource it to, say, Baltazar or Ludlow Construction that already has a Vector that is less cost for something that only has to get maintained, what, once a year? Wouldn't it cost less to have it outsourced, to have that taken out? We have the GLAW, we have the Mini, we have a Bobcat, don't we, still? To be able to go and clean that up?
So your question is, would it be cheaper to outsource?
okay, you weren't listening to me a minute ago. I just told you it was a
Hey,
multi-purpose.
Dave, keep it to
a
me.
multi-purpose tool. We have a jet router on the front of it. When your culvert is blocked and the water's flowing down Karen Drive, or for instance, the culvert on 202 is blocked right now, and the state has been notified that they need to come and fix it. If they don't get here, we're going to be going out with our vac truck and dealing with the situation. And it's not easy to get a contractor to come in when you got sewage bubbling up out of the ground, and that vac truck has been used to pump sewage in our town when we had a power outage. It is a critical piece to us to keep an emergency response item like that. And obviously, you haven't contracted with contractors recently. Try to get somebody to come in and do line
Dave,
painting.
please speak to me and not to the person.
Line painting, we've worked almost 5 months after the contract was awarded to them to start painting our lines before they could come in and do it. We were worried that it wouldn't even get done before the end of the year. I look out to contract anything that I can feel or I believe that we can get done cheaper in the private sector. Long lines are one of them. We cannot paint lines anywhere near, we could never come close to what the long line companies do to paint lines. Cleaning catch basins, tree removals. We removed 3 times the amount of trees that can be contracted out. We do it a third of the cost. I've checked both ways. I've checked our cost against doing it with our crew versus doing it with the contractor crew. It doesn't work on some items. We go after the cheapest items we can, and that's the way I present articles to the...
Thank you, Dave.
So with that being said, if we're trying to privately outsource, why would we not privately outsource mowing of the park and rec fields
So
for the
wait,
kids'
you-
sports.
you've got to
to save
keep,
money.
you've got to keep your question or discussion
Right.
to the article.
Well, he went off online, so I just figured I would ask because it's the same, the same concept.
Okay,
He
well,
went off
I'm stopping it now.
Yeah.
So we're here to discuss
Well, it
the
would
the
save
purpose
money.
of funding a vacuum truck for the highway department. So if your question revolves around that,
Yeah,
you can
I
ask
don't
it.
understand why it wouldn't be outsourced when we would barely use it. Where do we have sewers? Where do we have, there's very small areas that are sewer and not septic or well. Why would we need it for those small areas in town?
Okay, so I'm going to ask Dave to answer the question as to why
then
we would
I'm
need
good.
it for, and then I'm going to summarize, then you're done?
Yep.
And I will summarize your discussion with, you want this voted down?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, first, facilities mows the lawns, the highway department does not any longer.
Dave's answer the question about the sewer.
The sewers. The sewers, we have 3 pump stations in town. From about Pleasant Street, Amherst Street, all the way to South Hadley, High Street area, that's all covered under sewers. Doesn't matter the quantity, we have to maintain the pump stations, we have to maintain everything in accordance with the rules and regs from the EPA. Same thing with catch basins. They have to be cleaned every year. We have a lot of basins that have offset covers that you can't get a clam in it. Has to be done with the catch basin vac truck. Trying to get contractors in has been a real challenge.
Thank you. Come on down.
Anthony Serini from Cedar Drive. Might be a question for either the highway or maybe the fire department. Are there any other uses for this piece of equipment as far as trench rescue or any emergency operation that could occur during an emergency?
Okay.
I did forget one use that we do use it for. We haul wastewater out of the fire department. That's hauled in the wintertime usually, and when they're washing trucks inside, that wastewater is disposed of in the sewer system. You want to pay $3 a gallon for somebody to come in and haul wastewater, that's fine.
Are there any uses as far as evacuating dirt that could be used for an emergency operation?
I guess you could use it for vacuum excavation. It's really not a vacuum excavator. They're made a little bit differently than the standard vac trucks. The vacuum excavators are made to just burrow down into hard soil. Typically, you'll use an air lance to break up the soil, and then the vac sucks it up on a vacuum excavator. We have a water jet on the front of the vac truck. It's a little different process, not totally different, but.
Mr. Randall, do you have a question?
Madam Moderator, I do not have a question, but I respectfully call the question.
All right, so we're getting, someone is asking to call the question, which means he wants a vote. In order to call the question, though, I need a second. And I need a 2/3 majority to agree. So all those in favor of voting on the question, please raise your cards. Thank you. Anybody opposed? All right, so we're going to call the question. We're going to vote on Article 10. In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator now calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 11.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $15,000 for the purpose of funding the installation of exterior cameras at the Highway Department.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
This article is the installation of security cameras at the Highway Department, recent instance of illegal use of the town dumpsters there, and storage of department equipment outside necessitates installation of these cameras.
Are there any questions? Come on down, Seamus.
Seamus Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby, Mass. I really would like to say that I think we should just vote. I think that we are spending way too much money. I think everybody should just realize that. The police department's one thing, the fire department is another. That's, the schools, the playground, yes. But when are we going to cut some of the budgets? We need to have budget cuts, because this is just, we cannot sustainable. I remember last year's town meeting where the finance committee chair had said that we're spending way too much, and we're spending way more money than we truly have. So I think we should vote no on some of these articles, and I really would encourage my fellow members of town meeting and residents to please vote no, because we need to save some money. We need to save money. Thank you.
Thank you, Seamus. In order for the motion to pass under Article 11, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Sexton to present the motion under Article 12.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $12,195 for the purpose of funding the installation of automatic door openers at the police department.
Second?
Second.
And discussion?
This will fund the installation of automatic door openers for the police department lobby. The doors will automatically open by pressing the handicap button.
Any questions or discussion? Come on up.
Rich Demaraki, Bachelor Street. Is this a requirement for handicap use? Could someone tell me?
Yes, to remain ADA compliant, we need to have those doors.
What's the requirement?
Yeah, right now, if nobody's watching a camera and somebody's trying to get into the department, we have to run out there and try to let them in. It's kind of embarrassing.
Are these the outside doors?
To the lobby, correct. That go to police and fire, yep. The two doors.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? In order for the motion to pass under Article 12, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 13.
Madam Moderator, I so move the town to vote to transfer from free cash $50,000 for the purpose of funding tree removal.
Second? Second. And discussion?
This article will fund tree removal projects for trees that are hazardous and create power outages, road blockages during extreme weather events.
Are there any questions? Come on down.
Emily Kojal, Carver Street. Do we have a list of the trees or the streets where the trees are going to be removed?
Mr. DeRocher can answer that, please.
They're all over town. We've got a website posted. If you look on under the highway department on the town's website, you'll see a GIS map with all the trees that are still left remaining. What you see on that website, though, is only the 50 or so that we've got marked that are still not taken down yet. We add to those every day. We'll go down a street. In fact, I was just looking at more trees today. People call, but every street we go down, you're finding more and more disease from emerald ash borer, especially right now, and some pine problems. The oaks, we've gotten rid of most of those. To date, we've removed close to 1,500 trees with the funds that we've been given over the last 2 years. And I don't know if people have noticed, but every time the wind blows now, we don't lose the power on 3 different streets or 4 different streets. It is starting to make a difference. We have had a few power outages this year, but most of those trees that have come down were not town trees. They're falling in from private yards onto the roads.
Thank you. Come on down, Seamus.
Seamus Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby, Massachusetts. About the trees that were mentioned in the last question. I have 2 oak trees on my property, and I haven't seen anyone from the highway department come over to my house because these 2 trees are in between my neighbor's yard and my yard, so they border a property. So I would like somebody to come and take a look on my property and see, because one of the...
So Seamus, the question is revolving around spending.
Okay.
Transferring the money. So if you have a request to have some trees removed, you need to call the highway department.
Okay, that's, I just want to know if my street's on the list. Okay, I'll call the highway department.
You're welcome. Come on down.
Good evening, Brian Robinson, 54 South Street. My question is this a program put forth in combination with both the town and National Grid? As a local utility companies are required to set a radius around all primary wires up on the poles. Is this, I understood it was on private property, but the utilities are required, set forth by the DPU to maintain a 30-foot window around all this to help prevent the power outages. So where's the line of delineation between the power company and the town's responsibilities?
The power company does do some of the removals, and they are supposed to be doing more in the last few years. Ever since the October storm, they have been very difficult to get them to do anything. They did do a large trimming last year, I believe it was, but if you saw some of the branches they were taking down, they were as big as my index finger or pinky. The trees we're taking down are dead oaks, dead ashes that are massive trees, and we are still working with the power company. I've talked to them about doing one on Kendall Street right now, is on their list. There's a big one on Amherst Street that is not a town tree that we can't touch because it's on private property, but the power company can take those down and does take them down if it's a threat to their wires. But we have concentrated our efforts on areas that are threats to the road. There has been a car that was hit on Amherst Street last year. Fortunately, it was not one of our trees. It was a DCR tree. It was like a private tree that fell into the road.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask, do you have something to say that hasn't been said already?
James Guzman, 16 Griswold. So I believe I heard earlier that the town highway department takes care of these trees during their normal operating hours. So how is this 50 grand spent? Why do they need it? If it's part of their normal job, why are we giving them more money? Thank you.
I'm just going to stay here now. The money is usually spent to hire contractors to work with us. We don't have a bucket truck. And I don't want to put in for one because I don't think it's worthwhile. In this instance, this is one of those instances we can hire more effectively and efficiently. We work with the bucket truck. It's our crew that is working with them. We haul all the wood, we chip all the wood, and with the crew that we put together, we do about 3 times the amount of work that a National Grid crew would be doing in a typical day. And then National Grid leaves the butt log and everything for us to clean up anyway. So we get it 3 times the number of trees done, but we still have a portion of our funding goes to pay the contractors and police details.
Thank you. In order for the motion to pass under Article 13, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 14.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash $60,228 for the purpose of funding the tuition for Smith Vocational and Agricultural High School students.
Second. And discussion.
This article is for the tuition for 2 students that are attending Smith Vocational School, as Pathfinder Pathfinder either does not offer these courses or did not offer the courses when the students started going there.
Are there any questions or discussion? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 15.
Madam Moderator, I so move the town vote to establish an opioid settlement stabilization account in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B. Said stabilization fund is being established for the purpose of future expenditures related to opioid recovery.
Second. And discussion?
We will continue to receive funds over a period of several years. Once the funds are received, they will be transferred on an annual basis into the stabilization fund. Plans municipalities developed to expend municipal opioid settlement funds should incorporate community input from those directly affected by the opiate epidemic. Address service disparities to increase access and equity in treatment and services for OUD. Prevention and harm reduction related to opioids. Leverage existing state, city, town, and community opiate use disorders. Mental health disorders, behavioral health disorders, and programming and services.
Are there any questions? Come on up, Blaine.
Elaine LaFleur, 235 Chicopee Street. Do we have, can you share a percentage if we do have an opioid problem here in this community? Because most companies, most employers, most municipalities offer EAP programs, which is an employee assistance program for those that may be having some sort of substance abuse trouble. And it's normally picked up by health insurance. So I guess I'm curious to know, it sounds like this is a new organization that you're putting together. And are we combating an epidemic in our own town? Are we trying to, is this preventative so we don't have a problem? I think we need to know. Thank you.
The monies that Rick is referring to, that is from a lawsuit that the state has won. So it's monies from the state that's going to different municipalities to assist with education regards to opiates and things like that.
So it's preventative.
It's preventative, yes, absolutely.
Basically preventative.
Yep, based on education, maybe some treatment decides what each town, each municipality will use it for.
So it's, my question also is it limited to school children? Is it for, you know, not only kids have problems, but adults? I mean, is it for the community?
It's for the community, it's
Okay.
for everybody.
And it's something that's going to be, that we're going to know as a community that we have, that we can tap into a resource?
Yeah, so this is new for all the municipalities, it's just starting to receive the funds, so as the funds come in, figure out what is the best way to use the funds.
And are you going to have a committee for this?
We will end up with a committee for it.
Okay. Are you taking applications?
No.
All right, all right. Seamus, do you have a question?
Seamus Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road. I would ask everybody in the town of Granby to please vote on this. There are many students and many alumni that have overdosed on drugs. One that graduated in 2018, and others that have graduated in classes before it, including my own. I want you to think of some of the alumni and some of your fellow students that have overdosed and their lives were taken very sad and tragically. I want you to think about some of the people that have died and some of your former classmates, and please vote yes. Mental health is a problem. There are people with behavioral issues. Most of Granby PD's calls are usually domestic or due to mental health, psychiatric breakdowns. And I think this is a great opportunity to help people in the community, young or old. I also would ask all parents to have a conversation with their kids. Don't end up like these people did. And please be honest with them. Thank you.
Come on up.
Janice Kovich, Kendall Street. Just clarification question. So at this point in time,
Can you
there's
step forward to the mic?
Oh yeah, sorry. So at this point in time, there is no cost to the town for this
Correct.
Correct, there's no
Okay.
cost to the town. The town is actually receiving money
from the state,
from
right?
the state, yes.
That's what you said. Okay, thank you.
Come on down, Mr. Guzman.
James Guzman, 16 Griswold. So as she stated, there's no current cost to the town, but when these funds dry up, there will be an incurred cost to the town that we will have to fund going forward.
No, it's the town's choice whether or not they want to continue with this or not. This goes on for several years. That's receiving money from the state based on the settlement.
The state is going to fund this for several years
Yes,
going forward.
10 years.
As a result.
It's 10 years of a settlement from a lawsuit. So for the next 10 years, we'll get a certain portion of that money for the next 10 years.
And then once that money dries up, will the town be notified that we'll be voting from our own funds versus state funds?
It would be our decision at that time as a town whether we move forward with certain programs like that. The
Okay.
town would have to fund those type of programs.
Yeah, thank you.
In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a 2/3 majority. So all those in favor of the motion under Article 15, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 16.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $21,291.27 for the purpose of funding the opioid settlement stabilization fund.
Second. And discussion?
This amount of opioid settlement funds received during fiscal year 2023, the funds received must be spent on approved uses as outlined in the prior article.
Are there any questions? This motion must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now call on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 17.
Madam Moderator, I move that town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $68,698 for the purpose of funding the general purpose stabilization fund.
Second. And discussion?
This is to transfer available free cash to the stabilization fund. This is done so that these funds can remain available funding source for future appropriations as free cash disappears each June 30th and is not available again until it's recertified by the Department of Revenue.
Are there any questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator calls on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 18.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $68,699 for the purpose of funding Capital Needs Stabilization Fund.
Second. And discussion?
This is a transfer available free cash to the stabilization fund. This is done so that these funds can remain available funding source for the future appropriation as free cash disappears each June 30th and is not available again until recertified by the Department of Revenue.
Any questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator calls on Mr. Boyer to present the motion under Article 19.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer for free cash the sum of $68,699 for the purpose of funding Municipal Building Stabilization Fund.
Second. Discussion?
This is to transfer available free cash to the stabilization fund. This is done so that these funds can remain available funding source for future appropriations as free cash disappears each June 30th. It is not available again until it's recertified by the Department of Revenue.
Are there any questions? Come on up.
Janice Kovich, Kendall Street. Is it just coincidence the two amounts are exactly the same? 68,699?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Any further questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator now calls for a motion to adjourn the annual town meeting and reconvene it on June 12th, 2023.
June 5th.
June 5th? Yeah, that's good. Can I have a motion? Second? All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Town meeting's ended.